Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. Today we're diving into a chilling case. On September 27th, 2020, around 6 p.m., a man urgently called the emergency services. The call was recorded by dispatchers in Lamantine County. He reported that a woman, apparently his neighbor, rushed to his house screaming for help. She claimed she was escaping from her husband, who had just assaulted her. Although she was crying continuously, she strangely held a gun in her hand. When the police arrived, they discovered a man in the bedroom, barely alive, with two gunshot wounds, one in his leg and another in his chest. Additionally, the bullet had grazed his right arm. The scene also held two other bullets lodged in the wall and four shell casings from a .45 caliber pistol near the injured man. The man was quickly taken to a local hospital, where he tragically died from his injuries an hour later. Despite the chaos, the woman, identified as Ashley Benefield, didn't cooperate with the police. She wasn't arrested that night, prompting detectives to probe deeper into her claim of self-defense. The deceased was her husband, Douglas Benefield, but the question remains: could Ashley truly have had no other choice but to shoot Douglas? Let's rewind to where it all began, in sunny Florida, August 2016. Ashley Byers and Douglas Benefield first crossed paths at a Republican fundraising event in Palm Beach. Douglas was so taken by Ashley that he asked for her number right after dinner. That evening marked the start of their romantic journey. At the time, Ashley, then 24, was working at Donald Trump's campaign headquarters in Sarasota. Ashley's role was to motivate evangelical voters and organize rallies. Besides her political work, she was also an aspiring model and dancer, occasionally performing with the Maryland Youth Ballet. Ashley had big dreams. She wanted to become a renowned ballerina and start her own ballet company. Douglas Benefield, who was 30 years older than Ashley, hailed from Charleston. He was a former Navy pilot and a successful consultant who advised technology companies and defense contractors. Douglas also had interests in real estate and the restaurant industry. A widower, he had been raising his 15-year-old daughter Eva alone since his wife's passing about a year earlier. Despite their significant age difference, Ashley and Douglas shared conservative values and a love for guns, which brought them together quickly. Just 13 days after meeting, they decided to marry. The wedding, held in Douglas's hometown of Charleston, was a modest affair. The only guest was Douglas's friend, Trip Cormany, an ordained Episcopal pastor. Trip had reservations about the hurried nature of their relationship, but agreed to officiate the wedding out of respect for Douglas's deep religious beliefs, which included not becoming intimate before marriage. The wedding came as a shock to most of their family and friends. Douglas didn't even invite his daughter, Ava. Eva was struggling with her mother's recent death, who had passed away from an undiagnosed heart condition just 9 months earlier. Eva found her mother's body after returning home from school, an experience that deeply traumatized her. She was stunned by her father's sudden marriage to Ashley, who was only 9 years her senior. After Ashley moved into their Charleston home, the relationship between her and Eva soured, leading to frequent family disputes and tension. The relationship between Douglas and his daughter Ava took a hit because of his new wife, Ashley. Ashley wasn't interested in becoming a stepmother or even just a friend to her husband's daughter. Eva felt like she was losing her father to Ashley. Ashley had a dream to start her own ballet company, one that would be inclusive of dancers from all nationalities and body types. Douglas, completely enamored by his wife, vowed to help make this dream a reality. He adored Ashley, often planning romantic dates and surprises for her, always reminding her of her beauty. Ashley, tall and elegant like a swan, had a charm that captivated everyone. Her kind blue eyes and long brown hair added to her allure. Douglas believed in Ashley's pure heart and was prepared to support her dreams fully. Together, they established the American National Ballet in Charleston. Their plan was to operate a nonprofit ballet company alongside a for-profit school. By the summer of 2017, they began auditions, attracting around 40 dancers from across the globe to Charleston. However, amidst setting up the ballet company, Ashley also cherished the hope of becoming a mother and was planning to get pregnant. As fate would have it, she became pregnant in late summer 2017, which unexpectedly kept her from participating further in the auditions. All responsibilities fell on Douglas's shoulders. He hired Michael Wise, a skilled ballet master, to train the dancers. Despite this, many of the dancers were really looking forward to working with Ashley, who had become the face of the new ballet company. Ashley had to step away from ballet for a while because her pregnancy was causing serious health issues. Despite the increasing strain between Ashley and Douglas's daughter, Ava, Douglas remained committed to helping Ashley realize her dream of starting a unique ballet company in Charleston. Although distant from the ballet world himself, Douglas tried to manage the business with the help of choreographers and managers he hired. However, the company soon faced legal challenges. Dancers, choreographers, and managers sued the company, claiming breach of contract after they were dismissed just weeks into their roles. In an attempt to salvage the situation, Douglas brought in new managers to keep the ballet company running, but they made drastic changes that deviated from Ashley's vision of inclusivity. Meanwhile, the tension at home escalated. After a heated argument about Ava, Douglas lost his composure and fired a gun into the ceiling of their house, which was out of character for him, known generally as calm and non-confrontational. In late August, citing her difficult pregnancy, Ashley moved back to Florida to be with her mother, while Douglas continued trying to stabilize the ballet company in Charleston. On October 23, 2017, a group of dancers were suddenly called into a meeting in Charleston. They were asked to sign non-disclosure agreements and then were dismissed. Ashley, from a distance, criticized the new management and the direction the company was taking. She expressed her disappointment online, saying, "The new management has destroyed everything we've worked so hard for, and I cannot support them or their actions. A and B was supposed to be different from any other dance company and set new standards for how it treats its dancers. Everyone involved in the ballet company's management should feel regret for how poorly things were handled." What started as a promising idea eventually vanished. A few months later, the American National Ballet closed down for good. At the end of this ordeal, Douglas had lost over $100,000. To mark the end, Douglas organized a farewell party for the company, as he had developed close relationships with many of the dancers. However, when he returned home from the party, he was greeted not by his pregnant wife, but by a 4-page farewell letter. In her letter, Ashley detailed Douglas's flaws and accused him of being possessive and controlling. She mentioned the incident where he fired a gun into the ceiling, saying it made her fear for her life and the safety of her unborn child, prompting her decision to leave him. Heartbroken, Douglas hoped for a chance to reconcile. In late November 2017, he sent Ashley a birthday present, knowing her fondness for tea. He bought her a beautiful teapot set and specialty tea designed for pregnant women. Ashley accepted the gift, but she wasn't willing to reconcile. Instead, she escalated the situation by accusing Douglas of poisoning her tea. The authorities investigated her claims but found no evidence to support such serious accusations. Nevertheless, Ashley continued to pursue her suspicions and sent her hair to an independent lab for testing. The analysis showed elevated levels of aluminum, zinc, and other metals. 3 weeks before she was due to give birth, Ashley secretly went to the hospital without Douglas's knowledge. Ashley was at Tampa General Hospital, visibly scared. She told the hospital staff that her baby had been exposed to heavy metals in the womb because, she claimed, Douglas had poisoned her. Ashley also accused Douglas of physical abuse and alleged that he had held her captive in their home in Charleston. Despite Douglas being hundreds of miles away in Charleston, Ashley insisted he was stalking her in Florida. Without concrete proof of her claims, the hospital staff still took precautions to ensure her safety and even gave her a new name, Christina, for protection. 3 days later, doctors performed a C-section and Ashley gave birth to a healthy baby girl. However, Ashley remained concerned about possible poisoning. Meanwhile, Douglas was desperate to mend their relationship. He sent numerous texts to Ashley, pleading with her to reconsider, believing he still had a chance to restore what he thought could be a perfect, happy family. But it all seemed to crumble under mysterious and troubling circumstances. Ashley, however, was not in a forgiving mood. She was determined to distance herself from Douglas and even added new allegations against him. She went to the authorities, claiming that Douglas had mistreated his oldest daughter, Eva, and involved Florida Child Protective Services to investigate. She recounted to the police that Douglas had anger issues, specifically bringing up the incident when he fired a gun inside their house. The authorities took these accusations seriously. They interviewed Eva and Douglas and investigated the gun incident. In the end, a psychological evaluation conducted by a psychologist cleared Douglas, showing he was not a danger to others. Despite the clear results, Ashley was incredulous and once again penned a lengthy letter to Douglas, expressing her disbelief and ongoing concerns. The final lines of Ashley's letter were clear. Douglas should not attempt to contact her, or she would involve the police again. Her tone left no room for doubt. She was not open to reconciling. Another harsh letter from Ashley to Douglas solidified her feelings. In the summer of 2018, their disputes peaked when they both appeared in a courtroom in Bradenton. Douglas was there to seek permission to see his newborn daughter, while Ashley requested a restraining order against him. However, the judge, Diane Moreland, was not convinced by Ashley's testimony and the lab test results she presented. Judge Moreland ruled that there was no credible evidence that Ashley had been poisoned or had suffered from any related illness. This decision allowed Douglas to finally meet his daughter. A few days later, they met outside the sheriff's office where, surprisingly, Ashley was very cooperative. She handed the baby over to Douglas and even suggested they all spend time together. For most of the next year, Douglas, Ashley, and their daughter seemed to enjoy a period of happiness. Douglas moved into an apartment nearby in Florida to be close to them without disturbing Ashley's peace. However, in August 2019, during a routine meeting to pick up his daughter, Douglas was shocked to see an engagement ring on Ashley's finger. He hired a private investigator to uncover what was happening. The investigator reported back that Ashley was seeing someone else, and by November 2019, Douglas filed for a divorce. Soon after, Ashley began to lodge new complaints against Douglas. She accused him of inappropriate behavior towards his young daughter and made several other serious allegations. Douglas firmly denied any wrongdoing towards his daughter, and the authorities found no evidence to support the claims against him. Then, in March 2020, Douglas sent an email to the sheriff's office suggesting that Ashley might have a split personality. Despite this, a few months later, Douglas made a surprising announcement. He and Ashley were going to attempt to reunite their family and move to Maryland. Their friends were skeptical, but hopeful for the sake of their young daughter. On September 27, 2020, Douglas was preparing to begin this new chapter. He, along with Ashley, their daughter, and Ashley's mother, Alicia, planned to move from Florida to Maryland. Imagine it's a Sunday evening around 5:30 p.m. Ashley and Douglas meet at Alicia's house to start packing for their move. While they pack, Alicia takes the baby for a walk in the nearby park, leaving Ashley and Douglas alone. During their conversation, Ashley suddenly tells Douglas that she plans to move without him. Douglas becomes upset and insists that they had agreed to move as a family and start over. In his frustration, he begins to angrily move the packed boxes around. When Ashley tries to leave, Douglas allegedly grabs her arm, pulls her back, and confronts her, pointing his finger at her as if scolding a child, saying, "You can't leave me." Frightened by the confrontation, Ashley runs to their bedroom and retrieves her legally owned gun. She points it at Douglas, ordering him to leave her alone and exit the house. Despite her warnings, Douglas continues to approach her, hoping to defuse the situation. As Douglas continued to approach her, Ashley fired the gun. She watched as Douglas fell, his legs lifting into the air as he slipped and collapsed. Panicked, Ashley ran to a neighbor's house, screaming for help. Two neighbors, who were out walking their dog, saw her running outside with the gun, visibly distressed and crying. However, only Ashley truly knows what happened in the house that night, and she has not made any public statements about it. 5 weeks after the shooting, Ashley was arrested and charged with second-degree murder. She pleaded not guilty to the charges. After spending about 2 weeks in jail, she was released on bail and began cooperating with the authorities on November 4th, 2020. Despite her cooperation, she was formally arrested and charged with second-degree murder and is currently being held without bail, pending a future court date. In February 2023, Ashley Benefield's defense team filed a motion to dismiss the charges, arguing that she had shot her husband in self-defense. The 105-page document provided a detailed account of her side of the story, describing the events that led to the fatal shooting. Ashley Benefield's attorney, Neil Taylor, explained that the motion was partly an effort to bring attention to her perspective. To support their case, the defense included evidence such as documents and photos in the motion to dismiss. Among these were photos of Douglas Benefield that highlighted his strong and fit physique, suggesting he could be physically intimidating. The defense team also presented a photo showing a cut on Ashley Benefield's body, which she claimed to have received from a moving box that Douglas had pushed towards her. Another photo showed Ashley with a black eye. The defense stated that these photos of her injuries were taken on the day of the shooting. They worked hard to portray Douglas as a man capable of cruelty and uncontrolled aggression, citing past incidents where he allegedly punched their dog, punched a hole in the wall, and during one argument, pulled out a gun, fired it at the ceiling, and then threw the gun at a wall to intimidate Ashley. During the initial court hearing, the prosecution, led by Assistant State's Attorneys Suzanne O'Donnell and Rebecca Friel, and Ashley's defense attorney, Neil Taylor, debated whether Ashley's actions on the night she shot Douglas were in self-defense. However, a judge in Lamantine County ultimately denied the defense's motion to dismiss the charges against Ashley, who was accused of killing her ex-husband. Circuit Court Judge Stephen White concluded that the evidence presented during the hearing indicated that Ashley's actions were not a single act of necessary self-defense. Instead, he determined that they were part of a prolonged effort by Ashley. The judge disagreed with the defense's narrative and sided with the prosecution, stating there was enough probable cause to continue the case. Judge White's ruling emphasized that the substantial evidence demonstrated convincingly that Ashley was not justified in using deadly force against Douglas on September 27, 2020, and therefore, she was not entitled to immunity from prosecution. Ashley Benefield's request to dismiss her case and grant her immunity was denied. The evidence presented in court failed to persuade the prosecutor and the judge of her need to use lethal force. According to court documents, on September 27, 2020, the tragic incident unfolded when Douglas Benefield visited his child at the Lakewood Ranch home where Ashley was staying with her mother. During his visit, an argument broke out, and Douglas was shot and later succumbed to his injuries in a local hospital. Ashley claimed that Douglas had grabbed and hit her as she attempted to leave, prompting her to shoot. However, the authorities' affidavit highlighted discrepancies in her account, noting that the entry wounds on Douglas's body indicated he was not facing Ashley when she started shooting and did not appear to be in a defensive posture. No weapon was found on or near Douglas, which raised further doubts about Ashley's claim of self-defense. It seemed that Douglas did not anticipate that Ashley would shoot him. Ashley maintains her innocence and is awaiting trial, having not pleaded guilty. There remain many unanswered questions about the nature of Douglas and Ashley's relationship. What is known is that Ashley admitted to shooting her husband, leading to his death. The question arises, was Ashley genuinely in fear for her life from Douglas, feeling the need to defend herself at any moment? While fear can be a powerful and manipulative emotion, it's questionable to be constantly fearful without a real threat. Ashley had been living with what appears to be an imagined fear for years, always anticipating an attack. The incident leading to Douglas's death involved him merely pointing a finger at her, which brings into question the legitimacy of her fears and her response. It almost sounds like paranoia, and perhaps not only Douglas, but also Ashley, should have been evaluated by a psychologist. It's difficult to determine if Ashley was truly a victim or a cunning manipulator. Ultimately, she was charged with second-degree murder and is currently still awaiting trial. In Florida, the Stand Your Ground law permits individuals to use or threaten deadly force if they reasonably believe it is necessary to defend themselves against an immediate threat, without the obligation to retreat. This means that if a person in Florida feels they are in serious danger of being harmed or killed, and they are not involved in illegal activities, they have the right to defend themselves without trying to escape the situation first. Now, with the defense invoking the Stand Your Ground law, the burden of proof shifts to the prosecution to demonstrate that the shooting was not justified. Attorney Neil Taylor expects that District Court Judge Stephen White will allow the prosecution adequate time to review and comprehend the motion before scheduling another hearing. To Douglas Benefield, Ashley was the image of an innocent, pure white swan, a symbol of gentleness and purity. However, beneath that serene exterior, according to the narrative that unfolded, lurked a more sinister nature, akin to a black swan. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe for more shocking stories. Hit the bell icon to ensure you never miss an episode. See you in the next video.